Good afternoon, everyone. It is Monday, December 16th. Welcome to the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. My name is Regina Alcazar, president of this commission. And can we get started with the meeting? It is 2:34 p.m.
Certainly, I'll proceed with roll call. Commissioners Kalfayan,
Present.
Meek,
Here.
Sardarbegian,
Present.
Wolfson is absent. Student ex officio Commissioners Barati
Here.
and Waymar is absent, and President Alcazar.
I'm here, thank you.
Okay, the agenda for the December 16, 2024 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before Friday, December 13, 2024. Item 2, introductions and presentations. At A is introduction of new or promoted CSP employees.
Thank you. President Alcazar, members of the commission, I do like to welcome and invite Cindy Camberos. She's our new hourly city worker / park planner. She will be assisting with a number of CIP projects and park planning projects, helping Mr. Gonzalez on moving our projects forward. Just a little background on Cindy. She has a master's degree from Cal Poly Pomona in landscape architecture. Her bachelor's degree from University of California, Santa Barbara is in environmental studies. She attended John Burroughs High School in Burbank, and she has worked with a number of local organizations, one being the Wilderness Youth Project, providing youth and recreational programs for the youth in the area. And she was also a landscape design intern for Marami Studio for a little bit, designing and completing conceptual plans and renderings. So far, Cindy has worked on a number of projects, one being the wayfinding signs for Fremont Park renovation project, as well as a number of RFPs she's been working on to move projects forward. So I'd like to welcome Cindy to the team.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President. Good afternoon, President Alcazar, members of the commission. That was a wonderful and thorough introduction, so you did my work for me. Happy to be here. I grew up in the Southern California area. As Onig said, I went to John Burroughs High School, often went to Brand Park, and went for hikes with my family every weekend. And I'm looking forward to serving the city of Glendale and the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Very happy to have more planners on the team. And I know Mr. Gonzalez has a lot of work, so glad that you're here with us now to help him.
And thank you for joining us. You're working with a great department.
Agreed.
And you'll enjoy the work here. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Item 3 is upcoming council agenda items.
President Alcazar, members of the commission, tomorrow we have a number of items that we're taking to council. The first item is Youth at Work funds from LA County Department of Economic Opportunity for the Glendale Youth Alliance. Motion accepting $500,000 from LA County to fund various programs for the Glendale Youth Alliance. The second item is Measure H funds from Los Angeles County Economic Opportunity to provide workforce assistance to individuals that are homeless. Our third item is an Amendment 5 for fiscal year 2024-2025, Los Angeles County Aging and Disabilities unit rate increase for the Supportive Services Program for senior services. And our last item is adoption of ordinance. Ordinance authorizing the execution of the wireless communications facility lease agreement between the City of Glendale and New Singular Wireless at 1880 Loma Vista Drive. This is a open space area north of Mayor's Bicentennial Park.
Okay. Thank you.
On the Loma Vista, is that, will there be Wi-Fi at the Mayor's Park then?
This is a antenna for cell phone coverage.
Okay.
But Mayor's Bicentennial Park is one of the facilities that is part of the Wi-Fi plan that our Information Services Department is working on.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? No. Okay, next item, please.
Next Next is item 4, commission staff comments.
Open it up to my colleagues.
Does anybody else want to speak first?
Comments?
Okay. Well, because it's been a while, I've been saving up. So I'll start with, I had the pleasure of going to this year's annual tree lighting event. It was very well attended. It was very nice. The fire department collected a lot of toys, and some guy named Santa Claus made a big hit. I also attended the opening of the children and teens area at our central library, which was absolutely beautiful. A lot of thought and design went into that. I recommend everyone to go see those new spaces. And I went to I don't know if you were going to mention this, the SCORP focus group, that California is reaching out to the different communities for park space, what the park needs are, et cetera, like that. And last, I went to the Stone Barn holiday on Saturday. It was really nice, a beautiful space. They brought in several youth groups, a string quartet and a choir that were wonderful. So we've done a lot lately. I also wanted to speak on the Fremont Park has had numerous additions and changes over the time of the construction project. And I would like to have the topic of these sort of changes brought before our commission to discuss how they are possibly routinely should come to the commission prior to making the changes. The type of thing I'm referring to is a large concrete stadium seating next to the soccer field, the columns, pedestals that were ordered and arrived and were voted on by Arts and Culture before ever being presented to us. And the choices of benches and lighting and the kids' playing areas, things like that, need to come through the commission as well. Next, I would like to add to our agenda a discussion of the future of the Southern California Edison addition to Glorietta Park, so that our commission would have an input into this park prior to having completed drafts for the design. I would also like to add Central Park design is going out for bidding in February. I wish to delay this bidding order so that our commission can discuss this and possibly make changes to the design, making it more of an art park rather than a big playground. Also, I would like us to, again, to look at parking lot 11. We should discuss this as a community park or a dog park. The community college, Glendale Community College, has rescinded the city from using their Garfield campus as a dog park. So things are up in the air in that way. So I would like us to relook at parking lot 11, which right at this time is just a rental space for the city for an auto dealership. And last item I would like to bring up for discussion at some future point is the memorial benches. You can purchase a memorial bench in someone's name or honor, but right now your only choice is a concrete bench. I would like to bring that before our council in order to give other options rather than just a concrete bench. So to close on that portion, I ask my colleagues to second some of these proposals. Changes in park designs after approval, the Southern Cal Edison Glorietta Park design, the Central Park design, the renewed discussion of parking lot 11 and the memorial benches, and I'm hoping one of my colleagues will, or more, would second that to bring those up before our commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Meek.
We could go on to there, I can go on to my other comments.
Why don't we vote on, or get a second for that request first? And I wanted to confirm, did we need to get a second from staff to get those items back or on our agenda at some point?
Yes, we do. So he's correct. If somebody is proposing adding an item for discussion or like to be added to the agenda, then yes, we do need somebody to second. And if somebody wants to second, like for all of them, they can do that, or we can do one by one.
Okay. I will second those, I believe, let me see, was,
I have some written
Ma-
here.
President Alcazar, members of the commission, may I please? I mean, you can second it, that's fine, but I would like to update regarding a number of items
oh,
here.
sure, yes, go ahead.
For Lot 11, when we took the dog park report, council asked for us to look at alternate locations, and one location they approved was the community garden at Palmer Park. I know Joe, our park planner, is working on a number of community meetings to meet with the community there at Palmer to gather some feedback. Lot 11, during the meeting, they were had concerns about making Lot 11 a dog park. Hence the reason why about 6 months ago, we brought a report to commission to look at making Lot 11 a park. That's still on the table. We do need to take that report to council for their final approval to make Lot 11 into a park. We haven't done so because there are a number of other priorities that we were working on. But Lot 11 is still on the list to take to council to make that location a park. In terms of Central Park, the master plan was approved by City Council to provide additional green space and open space and expand open space between the library, ARC, and the museum. As Commissioner Meek stated, the design, the construction documents are 100% complete, and they will be going out to bid. Staff did receive $5.9 million for our outdoor recreation program through the state of California and the federal government. And that 5.9 million is tied to the current master plan. So if we change the plan to an art park, then there's a high possibility that we will be losing the 5.9 million in funds for the Central Park project. Fremont Park, there were a number of change orders that needed to take place in regards to underground utilities, adding security cameras, which if we take each change order, the project would have probably been delayed by 9 to 12 months, because each change order coming to commission would probably delay the project. I believe the grandstands at the soccer field was part of the master planning. So that was not a change order, but there were a number of change orders, which one large one was adding, I believe, 16 video cameras, security cameras. And the reason why we asked for security cameras is because the police department just implemented and built their RTIC program, the Real-Time Intelligence Center. And we thought that it would be a good idea, and talking to Chief Sid, we thought it would be a good idea to connect those cameras to the Real-Time Intelligence Center for additional monitoring, especially since it's going to be a new park. Another change order was the underground utilities, and I believe to improve the backflow infrastructure. That was another change order that we had approved. The memorial bench policy, when we took the policy to, I believe we brought it to commission, and after commission, we took it to the city council. We would like to standardize all of our concrete benches, well, all of our benches to concrete. So if this is something that the commission wants to change, then we would bring it back to commission as well as take it to city council for their final approval, changing the furniture in our parks. With that being said, if commission decides to second Commissioner Meek's requests, we'll be more than happy to bring a report back on all items.
Thank you for that, Mr. Bolinikian. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Commissioner Meeks, your comments are very general at this time. Like I'm not sure if I'm going to second it or not. Can we ask the staff to take it back and bring it one by one so we can understand it better? And then we vote on it. Why not? If they're good points. But right now, it's like too general for me.
Okay. I do know that some of our benches are not, like I was at the Stone Barn, and it had benches that weren't concrete, and a number of other places. Were you planning to replace all those with concrete benches?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we're trying to standardize to concrete. I know, I believe Lower Shoal and Upper Shoal had some aluminum benches. Emerald Isle had some metal benches. Chris and his team are replacing them as we go. Every year, City Council allocates about $100,000 in furniture replacement. So we would like to do away with aluminum and metal benches because the concrete benches are, number one, easier to maintain, and they have a longer shelf life.
Is there any effort to make those a little bit more artistic or decorative than just plain?
We can work with Library Arts and Culture to see if we have a student artist or an artist come in and paint benches similar to what we do with our utility boxes, something of that sort. Or we can work with the vendor to see if we can
Yes, I
have
was
some.
thinking more on the order of, a lot of the concrete benches are like a preform, they put them in, they cast them.
Prefab, yes.
And if they could cast them in a way that looks a little bit better, has some, I want to call it stamping or something like that, but just to make them look better, rather than just a chair,
We can certainly talk to our vendor and look into it.
President Alcazar, members of the commission, I think as it relates to the memorial bench policy, which is a little different than the rest of the park benches, I think just for durability, longevity, vandalism, it does make more sense to keep them as the concrete benches. So even if we do, consider different types of benches cost-wise as well, because we have a fee in our fee schedule, having different individuals selecting different types of benches will impact the fees and the costs to the department and the city as well. So keeping it standard specific to the policy, I think would be best from staff's perspective. And the rest of the benches like that the department puts in as part of renovations and things of that sort, we could consider looking at more artistic benches, whether it's, for example, if it's at the skate park looking for a bench that might represent a skateboard, or if it's, at near a tennis facility looking at a bench that might have some tennis features. That's a little different than the memorial bench. So I think from staff's perspective, we would like to keep the memorial benches very standard and specific for one cost, from the cost perspective, and also to go away from everybody wanting to individualize their bench, and then it becomes very specific, and if it's not a specific quality of product that's used, then the vandalism and the department having to deal with that long term. So I think that's why when we were working on the policy, we decided to go with the concrete benches to allow for those to have a longer life in the park. So looking at benches in general is different. Like, we could always look at that as part of a park renovation, but changing the memorial policy, I just want you to know the thought process and the background on why we think it's best to keep them that way.
President Alcazar, members of the commission, if I may interject, if you have any further, if you want to discuss further, we would need to agendize this item, please, for Brown Act purposes.
Understood. Thank you, Iris. So staff made a few remarks about some of the items that you requested to bring back, Commissioner Meek. So I wanted to ask, based on what was said, is there anything on this list that you feel you had answers to that are resolved, that maybe we can just wait just a little bit longer for staff to make a little more progress on it? Or did you still want to have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items brought back?
I would still like the Glorietta Park design to come back.
Okay.
The parking lot 11, the you were saying that it is going to go to council?
Yes, President Alcazar, members of the commission, Commissioner Meek, yes. Eventually, we're going to be taking it to council. I was hoping to take it sometime in November. Council agenda, council items, there's meaty items on the agenda, so I'm going to move that over to hopefully by end of January, February for Lot 11. As for Glorieta, we're still working with Southern California Edison on one of there's two locations. The location on the north, we will not be entering into an agreement due to the country club wanting access to that property. So we'll continue working on the southern portion of the property, and we're working on the agreement as we speak. Once when Water and Power finalizes an easement that they have with Southern California Edison. Once when the lease or the agreement is signed, ready to go, that's when we'll start the planning. And planning will include a number of community meetings. We will have a number of meetings with commission and bring, Joe and Cindy, and we'll plan for the project.
Okay.
We're going to have a lot of community input.
Right, that's, basically, I want our commission to have input on these things before we have finalized designs. And that you come to
We
us
will be
first.
here a number of times for all that project, for the Glorieta project.
Okay. I'm up in the air about the Central Park. I would still love for that to be changed. I see that there would be a potential for losing that 5.9 million. And I can hold off on the parking lot 11. I would definitely like to keep the changes in park designs for approval, just so that we can discuss getting these changes brought before us. And I'm not talking about something small, it's just something large that really changes the look of a park
Right.
and that sort of thing. So I definitely would like that one to be considered for discussion in the commission.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, it is still on the benches, changes in park designs, opportunities for that after the plan has already been approved, or at least receiving updates on them as well?
Yes. As Iris, I don't want to go on and on, but I would like that one to come back before our commission so that I can discuss it further.
President Alcazar, members of the commission, if it's something significant, I'll give Fremont as an example. Fremont, the master plan called for 8 courts, tennis courts. If we were to add 2 additional or 3 additional courts, we would definitely come to commission and ask for approval, because we're changing the majority of the project. If the master plan didn't call for a community building, and now we are adding a community building, we would come to commission for your approval, as well as city council, because we would be including adding a 2,700 or 3,200 square foot building. So large, significant changes absolutely will come to commission, as well as council.
Okay. I feel like I'm giving up, but
No.
there is a lot of things there that, as my colleague has said, it is a very general topic at this point, and I'd like to narrow that down. And they've agreed to, I felt agreement that the memorial benches have to change, but the other benches, we could look at trying to make our parks more beautiful.
Right. Okay, so
And I can hold off on parking lot 11 and things, I guess, Glorieta, they promised to bring that back to us before there's a sign, so I can go along with that too. So just the changes in parks after approval is the only one I'd like to retain.
sorry, I think you said, because there was discussion about the memorial benches that
And they don't,
potentially could be
I
brought
felt
back
like
to
they
us.
didn't want to change anything on a memorial bench, but they might look at the other benches in parks to add a little more artistic, or just make things look a little better.
Okay,
President Alcazar, members of the commission, like I mentioned earlier, we have 100,000 allocated for purchasing of benches. I can work with Chris and Joe to see if there's a vendor out there that can make custom order benches that are a little bit more artistic instead of the concrete. So moving forward, when we change out our, benches that need to be changed out, or concrete benches, or metal or aluminum, we'll look at more artistic concrete.
Okay.
That's something that I don't think needs to come to the commission. You're making the recommendation, and we'll work with staff on that, looking for a vendor.
And the benches at Fremont, I saw a picture of, and they weren't concrete, at least they didn't look concrete. Is that true?
That I would need to look into that.
Okay,
So from what I'm hearing,
yeah. I hesitate, but at the same time, our staff does an excellent job, so I'm going to defer and not ask to bring those up before council. It may come up again in the future.
okay. So you do not want
I can-
to bring
I
back
can
the bench
withdraw.
conversation?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner
I
Kafan.
would I would just say, very good job. I'm glad you have the time and you donated so much time. We do appreciate that, really.
Thank you.
It's not
Definitely.
only us, the whole community.
Yes. I do have other comments
Sure.
that have no relation to that.
Okay.
Okay, finally, I want to say that I am grateful to live in the city where we have such terrific police and fire departments who are proactive and work with the community, and for the many administrators and staff that diligently work to better the quality of life for all the residents in Glendale. I am very proud of our Parks Department and how they make our city parks showcases. These people work multiple events throughout the year. Cruise Night, which attracts over 20,000 people, the GO program that gets children out to exercise and compete with each other. The Verdugo workforce assists people to find work, increase skills, mentor youth, and bringing them into the workforce. Our community services provides thousands of meals each week to the senior nutrition program and works with Essentia and Armenian Relief Society to help the homeless that are living on the streets in Glendale. Our sports complex and Pacific Park host many team events, sporting events, and Maple Park Inclusive Playground is an example to other cities. Our Community Development Block Grant Committee distributes millions of dollars from the U.S. Housing and Urban Development each year to help nonprofit organizations provide services and benefits to our residents. It would be a privilege for me to be a part of this commission, and I would like to make special mention of a few people I have had the opportunity to interact with during my tenure. Amira Lamayo, Armin Takakachian, Maggie Kavarian, Gabrielle Goglia, Judith Velasco, Iris Marino Hernandez, Arsene Esen, Chris Peplo, Teresa Asakian, Onig Valakian, and my fellow colleagues on the commission. I thank you all, and I love working here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meek. And yes, I echo, completely what Commissioner Kalfayan said. You bringing and raising these topics during this commission meeting is very important, especially, transparency for the public, and having these discussions around this horseshoe is important. So thank you for the appreciation as well. Did any of my other colleagues go ahead? Thanks, if it's you.
On the topic of the Fremont Parks construction, I wanted to ask the commission if we are aware of any senior citizens like exercise developments in that area, or if we are aware of anything like new coming, like fountains in these parks, because this Fremont Park is a significant park in Glendale, and I think I have visited many times before the demolition, and I have seen that there were a lot of senior citizens who attend the park. So having something like any possible exercise or equipment that the seniors could also enjoy, because I know our young children and the teens, they have these new playground developments that are coming to them, but I think we should also consider having senior citizens having more developments for them, such as exercises to promote their well-being, or having other developments like fountains for the general public to enjoy, because fountains, they, despite it being a small thing, it does bring joy in people. So having through this, I want to ask the commission, at Fremont Park, will there be any senior developments like equipment or?
President Alcazar, members of the commission, student officio Barati. So Fremont Park is going to have a number of exercise equipment for adults, seniors, and children. A playground, 5 to 12 and 2 to 5 years old, and also a water feature, a splash pad area where the kids can come in and, play in the water during the summer season. We'll also have a basketball court, multi-use court, basketball and pickleball, 8 tennis courts, as well as one of the tennis courts will have 4 pickleball courts. So it's a big project. Hopefully, the project will be completed by the end of 2025, April 2025. But there is going to be outdoor fitness equipment for the adults to use. As well as, if all goes well, we're hoping to program yoga classes, Tai Chi classes, as well as different senior exercise classes at that location.
I'm glad to hear that Fremont Park will be enjoying this, but also if we would be able to set an example for our other parks, such as the Adams Square, also there's a big senior population there. So similarly, if we would be able to expand these for our seniors, that would be wonderful.
Thank you for that comment. Any of my other colleagues, any other comments?
So first of all, I wasn't able to go to the actual grand opening of the Central Library's teen and youth area, but I got a chance to visit it afterwards, and I have to say, having grown up in city of Glendale, that at this point is probably the most beautiful kind of structure we have for the teens. All the hard work that was put into both the design aspect of it, the engineering of it, and how just it turned out is just amazing. I think it gives a number of different activities for the teens, for the most part, to be able to kind of do and explore. But more than that, I think it opens up hope and a kind of a desire to improve all of their lives in the future. Obviously, libraries are extremely important, and especially nowadays where, unfortunately, a lot of kids turn to electronics instead of books. So I think that a space like that is definitely going to change the lives of a number of the kids in our city. So I think that, the entire team that was put together to renovate the library they did an exceptional job. I don't think that there's any part of it that I would change personally. So I want to commend them for that. Second of all, I'd like to thank our director, Mr. Onik, as well as Captain Robert William from the GPD. A lot of times I get calls and complaints from different members of our community regarding loitering and people just hanging out in or around parks. And I have to say that every time I've reached out to Mr. Bulanikian and Captain William, they've gone ahead and kind of fast-forwarded everything that they need to do to make, the area around the parks and within the parks very, very safe. Obviously, our staff does an amazing job of upkeeping the parks, but at nights when staff members aren't there and, the parks and the areas around parks are just empty spaces for people to loiter, hang out, cause problems. Glendale PD, along with Mr. Onik, and I've reached out to him in weird times throughout the day, and he's always come through. So thank you very much for all the hard work you do, along with coordinating everything with GPD.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So with that, I think we can move on to the next item, please.
Yes, item 5 is oral communications. We don't have any cards or callers. So we'll move on to item 6, consent items. At A is approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on October 21st, 2024.
I will move it.
Okay. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay, and I'll take roll call. Commissioners Kalfayan,
Yes.
Meek,
Abstain?
Sardarbegian,
Yes.
Wolfson is absent, and President Alcazar.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7, action items. At A is selection of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission officers. At 1 is selection of president for the term December 2024 to December 2025. And at 2 is selection of secretary for the term December 2024 through December 2025.
Thank you, Iris. So I will open it up to the floor.
I would recommend Commissioner Sardar Bacon as a chairperson or a commissioner president, and Commissioner Meek for secretary. Is both, can we do the both together?
You can.
Any other nominations? No? Okay.
Okay, I will actually take roll call separately, just in case there's anybody
Okay.
that wants to vote differently. So first, for the office of president, Commissioner Sardarbegian. Okay, so Commissioner Alcazar,
Yes.
Kalfayan,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes?
Sardarbegian,
Yes.
Wilson's absent. Okay, so I now declare Commissioner Sardarbegian the duly elected president of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. And Mr. President, the task before you now is to, well, actually, no, you don't have to open the floor. I guess you can exchange seats.
Is there appreciation ceremonies? Cannot be but four.
I know. You're stuck here now.
Okay, President Sardarbegian, if I may continue with roll call for the office of secretary.
Please continue.
Thank you. And that would be for Commissioner Meek to be the secretary. Commissioner Alcazar,
Yes.
Kalfayan?
Yes.
Meek,
Yes?
Sardarbegian,
Yes.
and Wilson's absent. So I now declare Commissioner Meek the duly elected secretary of the Parks Commission.
Next item.
Next is 7B, rescheduling of the January and February 2025 Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission regular meetings. At 1 is a motion to direct staff regarding the rescheduling of the January and February 2025 Commission regular meetings. And President Sardarbegian, members of the commission, as you are aware, the commission meets in regular session the third Monday of every month at 2:30 p.m. However, upcoming meetings scheduled for January 20th, 2025 and February 17th, 2025 coincide with holidays observed by the city, Martin Luther King Jr. Day and President's Day, respectively. Consequently, these meetings will need to be canceled, and after consulting with GTV, staff recommends that the commission approve rescheduling these meetings to Monday, January 27, 2025, and Monday, February 24th, 2025. And those are the fourth Mondays of those months. And both meetings would take place here in the council chambers at 2:30 p.m. So we kindly request for commission's direction to proceed with scheduling these special meetings.
Great. I will go ahead and move to direct staff to reschedule the January and February 2025 Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission regular meetings to the special meeting dates and times in the agenda.
I will second Commissioner Alcazar's suggestion.
My only questions, given the fact that a number of days are kind of mixed with holiday stuff, would it be more efficient to just cancel the January one and do a joint one on February? on February 24th. What were staff's thoughts on that?
President Sardabagan, members of the commission, we're okay either way. We always have to report out on something, so if we cancel January, we're going to move January reports to February.
Can I suggest that let's move it as is, and then we can cancel it as we go on?
That's a good idea. Okay.
Okay, I'll proceed with roll call. Commissioners Alcazar,
Yes.
Kalfayan,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Sardabagian,
Yes.
Wolfson is absent. And, yeah, okay, sorry, I think, and president, and sorry, not president. I think I got all of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, thank you. Item 7C, Fremont Park columns tile artwork. At 1 is motion to provide feedback regarding the Fremont Park columns tile artwork and recommend that City Council approve the public art installation at Fremont Park.
Good afternoon, President Sarabegi and members of the Commission and City staff. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you today. We have been working with our public art consultant LaBasse Projects for the past 3 years to commission and curate public art projects throughout the city. On November 27th of 2023, LaBasse Projects released a request for qualifications and received 230 applications for consideration. Following those applications, we did have an artist review and selection committee, and they chose 4 finalists for consideration for this opportunity. And on July 18th, 2024, those 4 finalists attended the Arts and Culture Commission meeting, and at that meeting, the commission chose Carol Lynch's Belonging as the proposed recommendation for this opportunity. We do have LaBasse Projects here who are going to walk you through the proposed design for the Fremont Park columns tile artwork. Just as a reminder, there are 20 columns for consideration, and there are 3 different types of columns that will have the tile artwork on it. So I'll invite LaBasse Projects.
Thank you, Jennifer. My name is Bo Bass. I'm the principal of LaBasse Projects. This is Catherine Forsyth from my team. Jennifer, I think, really ran everything down quickly, but I just want to make sure that there's clear understanding and answer any questions that the commission might have in terms of the process. Again, our team put forth a handful of artists, were vetted, artists were selected to deliver concepts by the Arts Commission. 4 artists provided site-specific design concepts for these 20 tile locations at Fremont Park. Artist Carol Lynch was selected by and a design was selected by the commission that Catherine will walk everybody through. But I wanted to make sure there were no questions or thoughts, and then otherwise we can show you the concept that was selected. All right, I'll leave it to Catherine.
Okay, great. I think we can go to the next slide.
The little clicker.
Oh, sorry.
The clicker right
Didn't even notice that. Thank you. It's just this, right? This. Okay, cool. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catherine. This first slide right here describes where all of the columns are. There are 3 different columns, so you can kind of see them at each of the entrances where they will be located. These are the 3 different columns. So you'll see column C1 has just 1 tile, column C2 has kind of like a mosaic of tiles, and similarly with column C4, which has the most amount of columns, 12 columns at the park.
Can you tell me the width or how big these? I see it, some of them look like they're 1 foot 8 inches, but the tiles themselves are how big?
So actually on this page, it says the dimensions. So on C1, that one is 8 by 8. And then for the smaller columns, those are, sorry, the print's a little bit small.
They're variable sizes, but
Yeah.
they're around 8 inches, 8-inch tiles.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I see. All tiles are 3 by 3 except for the C1. Okay.
Yes, yeah, C1 is the larger tile. So this is again just kind of showing the column locations, and then I will get into Kara's concept.
These column details, and again, the columns are not part of the actual artwork. These locations provided by Parks Department asked locations for the city to include artwork, and so we worked with artists to find and fit into these spaces. But the columns were designed by, is it David Voles? What's the architect? David Voles Design, who's designing the park.
I'll show you her, oops. Is it-
Do you have, yeah, sorry, the Carol Lynch's concept package? Oh, that's all we've got? Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. In that, in that case, let me go back. So Kara actually provided a lot of different options for her concept. Her concept is called Belonging, and it pertains to community of the city of Glendale. And she provided a quilted kind of concept, and also a wildflower concept. And at the Arts Commission meeting where this was presented, the wildflower concept was the preferred concept, and that used local flowers that are found here in Glendale. And that was kind of like the preferred concept of hers, although she provided many options, and she can always tweak the colors and stuff. So, oh, sorry.
Let's just show the wildflowers.
I think, sorry, it's this one, no, sorry, this one right here. And the reason why this one was chosen is because the columns are pretty tall and the artwork will be seen from far away. The commission thought that this artwork would be the best viewed from people walking by and like the different vantage points from the park.
And how tall are these? I'm seeing width, but not height. I'm sorry.
So 3-inch tiles times, let's see, I don't have my glasses, but what are we at?
Sorry,
12 tiles tall? Is that right? 10 and 3, so not quite 3 feet, 30 inches.
So it's actually not.
Yeah.
This is the native wildflower one, correct? C4.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And when we were touring the park, the columns were already there, sort of covered, and there was some sort of crown to them. Do you know if that still exists, or was it? I don't know what it was.
Again, our team had no involvement in the design of the actual columns.
Okay, so you're just on the tiles?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
For this wildfire, for the C4 columns at the placement where there's 4 back-to-back, is that in the middle? Where is that location specifically? Because if it's near the grass area, then it might cause concerns with kids playing with their footballs, because I want to know if the location of that is in specifically for C4, the 4 that are circled. Is that where is that location? Just to make sure if it's near a walkway, that's fine. But if it's near somewhere where kids are playing, that might cause a concern, the location of it.
Sorry, Commissioner, what would the concern be?
The concern is my location. Are you aware of if this is a walkway?
No, I'm sorry. What is the concern? Is it like, are the concern like damage or?
For example, at the park, I used to play when I was younger, and I would play with my soccer ball, and we would kick the ball around, and at times this soccer ball would hit like a tree or something. So if this is in the middle of the, I'm assuming it's in the middle of this grass area.
Oh, you're concerned about damage to the tile?
Yeah, damaging.
Oh, yeah. So good question. So this type of ceramic tile is actually very sturdy. Mosaic tile has been used for thousands of years for public outdoor installations. So this tile, I mean, a soccer ball, I mean, if somebody, came at it with a hammer, like they would a bench or any other there would probably be concerns, but I don't think, in our experience in public art, using tile like this in locations, children playing would not be a concern in terms of damage to the tile.
So are these going to be placed in walkways? Are we aware of the specific location of these?
The columns are in various parts of the park. Some are between gated areas, some are along park areas. So my guess is, knowing Fremont Park and how much it gets used, you'll have play across the park, I would assuming. But again, I wouldn't, in our experience managing, all we do is outdoor public art. General play in a park wouldn't be a concern for tile. We've utilized similar tile on stairs, on staging, on steps, along walls, in a myriad of parks across Southern California. And yeah, I mean, a kid could throw a football or soccer ball as hard as they could, and they wouldn't be able to do any damage to this.
Yeah, and with the tiles, they're relatively easy to maintain as well, like as far as cleaning and things like that.
Definitely more graffiti resistant than a stucco wall or a painted mural.
The flower, oh, go ahead. The flower motif, I'm seeing different flower motifs, so I'm assuming all the different ones have been approved? Or is it just the poppy or just something else?
Yes, Arts Commission has selected a series of artists. There are a couple of different color palettes of these. So there's this sort of orange one, there's more of a purple one.
It would be the different flowers that
Yeah,
are
it'll
all
be a different
native.
palette across the park.
Are they native flowers?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
The colors are beautiful. I'm worried about discoloring or maintenance of it. Or how do we maintain it?
Also a very good question. Ceramic tile, unlike a painted surface, will actually stand up and have a much longer lifespan than a painted mural. Tiles like these generally do not fade. They are sealed, they are waterproof, and every project we deliver, including these, will have a conservation and maintenance plan, which will be given to parks. Typically on a project like this, that we will have additional percentage of tiles made, which will be Parks' job to store or reserve. Or if there was breakage, let's say somebody came at it with a hammer and broke a bunch of tiles, they're not hand painted tile, they're printed tile, so they could easily be reprinted from fabricator and replaced.
Well,
President Sartar-Begian, members of the commission, and as far as the cost of maintenance, the Library Arts and Culture Department is going to be putting aside funds to help maintain it. So that's going to be part of their plan.
Yeah, our conservation maintenance reports on these will include details. I mean, most likely tile like this, whoever's maintaining the park and the park team could simply power wash these along with the columns.
I'd recommend to have access, or if we could purchase extra tile just in case in the instance if there is any kind of graffiti or anything, or if someone decides to break any of this, just so we could replace them. It's easier to have them now than have something get discontinued and then us have to chase it down 12 years from now. So
Yeah, that's precisely why we provide a conservation maintenance report, which actually includes fabricator details as well. So if there was, it'll give recommendations for annual cleaning, maintenance. If there's graffiti, it'll give details on best solvents and solutions to clean it with. And then include fabricator information. So let's say in 10 years, for whatever reason, city wanted to replace all of them, the fabricator details would be there to have them reprinted and then installed.
The art is great, it's beautiful, but at the nighttime, will it be visible in terms will there be lighting on it, or will it just be placed so where it would be visible in the daytime, not the nighttime?
That's a really good question. I'm not aware, and maybe Parks can talk about lighting plan for the park, but I don't know if there's a specific plan to have these, directly lit.
President Sartar-Begian, members of the commission, there will be lighting throughout the park, but there won't be any uplights facing the art. But the park will be lit throughout the park.
I think having grown up at Fremont Park and remembering the Rose Garden that we had, I actually think this is beautiful. You guys have done a great job. It kind of obviously they're not roses, but it kind of pays homage to that, circular area where I would ride my bicycle for 10 plus years. So I think it's beautiful. Good job.
Thank you.
I will go along with that. Cara Lynch, is that
Yes.
the person who designed these?
Yes.
I think they are lovely tiles, and I think it would be a good addition to the park.
Thank you.
I just had one question, and apologies, usually we get the presentation on our screen here so we can see more closely the details of what you're presenting, but the screen's not working right now, and so we're all squinting and trying to see where the columns will be installed to ex officio Commissioner Barati's questions about where exactly. So I think the cluster of 4, that's kind of like a diagonal pathway. It's going to be installed along a pathway, right? I think that's what his question, or his concern was.
It does look like it. It looks like it's by the basketball court, if you're familiar with the park plans.
So the two at the top are by the basketball court,
Right.
CA. The 4 or the cluster are near the community building and the tennis courts, which is the one across from the basketball court.
Right.
And then the ones that down below, the 4, the cluster at the bottom,
Right, I
I
think
want to
that's
say
the-
that's just a general open, like grass area, right, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I was asking Chris, but I believe that's just general open play area. So it's not,
Yeah, the 4 down below are next to a turf area, but it's pretty small, so it doesn't lend itself to active play, if you're concerned about that. And then you can see that there's hardscape around it, so it is within hardscape. But the turf area is too small to really support active play, where you're gonna have footballs going quickly through the air. So I don't think that's much of a concern.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So I can see, the columns, part of the use is sort of designating entryways. And so I'm wondering if there's room for more columns to be installed around the other perimeters of the park, just to kind of tie it all together. Because majority of them are now, they're kind of concentrated in the northern, I don't see oh my God, I'm blanking, compass. But, right, it's concentrated around the, like the community building. And then I think we were gonna have some more flower installations and garden towards the south of it. So is there room for more columns to be installed in the southern area or the east?
President Sardarberg and members of the commission, we would need to go back to Public Works and see if it's doable. If we were to build more columns, then there's a possibility we might need to reroute irrigation and utilities that are underground, depending on where you would like the columns to be installed, to be built, actually.
Onik, I'm not sure if we know right now, but the columns were part of the plan to begin with, right? They weren't installed just for the art. So that was,
It was part of the plan,
it was
yes.
part of the plan. So they weren't specific to the art, if that makes sense. We just chose to add art to the existing columns.
Okay, and then the follow-up question. So the main entrance, if, at least from my interpretation of it and where the columns are installed, is that northern area. Is that right? Is that where the main entrance is?
By the community building, yes.
Gotcha. But there are entrances, say, along that street on the like southern border,
Yes.
as well as the eastern border, right?
The park will not be fenced, so the park will not be fenced, so, and you can enter anywhere around the facility. But the main entrance would be right off the parking lot where the community building is.
Now, the soccer field, that's going to be fenced, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Soccer field is fenced, and that's a 8-foot fence with an additional 16 feet of netting to prevent balls from hitting people that are enjoying the park, as well as vehicles off of Patterson and Kenilworth.
Perfect.
I have no further questions.
No further questions?
Do we need a
Motion.
we need a motion?
Yes. I move we approve the tiles and on the columns with the flowers that Arts and Culture has already approved.
I'll second.
I think, I'm sorry, just to clarify, I think the motion is to recommend that City Council approve the public art installation at Fremont Park. So
Okay.
in your case, it was to provide feedback and then recommend for council approval if you're okay with that.
Okay. Revise to move this on to City Council for their approval.
I will second.
Thank you. Commissioners Alcazar,
Yes.
Kalfayan,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes?
Wolfson is absent, and President Sarabhagian.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioners, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next item is 7D, recommendation of community preferred designs for the Adams Square Mini Park and Mayor's Bicentennial Park Playground Replacement projects. At 1 is a motion to recommend City Council approval of the community preferred design compounds custom truck for the Adams Square Mini Park Playground Replacement project. And at 2 is a motion to recommend City Council approval of the community preferred design compens custom owl for the Mayor's Bicentennial Park Playground Replacement project.
So good afternoon. My name is Joseph Gonzalez, Park Planner with the city, and I'm presenting on agenda item 7D. As Iris just summarized, the report seeks a recommendation on the preferred design for Adams Square Mini and Mayor's Bicentennial Playground Replacement projects. So going to the presentation. So the scope of this project is the removal and replacement of the aging playgrounds at Adams Square Mini and Mayor's Bicentennial Park. Improvements will include the PIP surfacing replacement and ADA route improvements to the playground, as well as shade structures. So we've done 2 rounds of outreach as part of this design development process. Phase 1 was just to get an overview of what the community preferred. For Adams Square Mini, we received 165 responses, and for Mayor's, we received 63. The results indicated a desire for nature-inspired and themed play at both locations. And 4 concepts were developed based on that feedback. And then for phase 2, we presented those design options to the community. We received 186 votes from the Adams Square Mini, and then 152 votes for Mayor's. The conclusion was a community recommendation for the compound playgrounds at both sites, which we'll show. And so we're seeking now a recommendation to take to council. Next slide. So just noting that both of these projects are funded through County Measure A through the LA County Regional Park and Open Space District. Sorry, the clicker is a little slow. And the project locations, Mayor's Bicentennial Park is located adjacent to the 2 freeway in the San Rafael Hills, and then Adams Square Mini is in South Glendale. And so starting with Adams Square Mini, the phase 1 concept design survey revealed again the desire for both nature-inspired playground with themed and modern type playgrounds as also desired. And when we got the open-ended feedback, people did have a desire to engage with the historic elements of the site. Some of the preferred elements of the existing parks included the rubberized surfacing and the seesaw. And then in terms of future amenities, people did want to see climbing, swinging, and sliding elements. And they did seek challenge levels for 2 to 12-year-olds. And so the 4 concepts we presented included a custom truck, a play booster with shade structure versus a sail structure, and then kind of a big rig truck kind of concept. We also heard on the open-ended feedback. Oh, sorry. We also had an in-person engagement where we were at the park for a day and engaged people directly. And then this is some of the, here's a picture of some of that in-person engagement. And then we also had an open-ended question on the survey. And we just wanted to highlight some of the key words that we heard. And obviously the truck kind of was inspirational. People definitely wanted to see shade. They liked unique designs. They wanted children of all ages to be able to play. And they also, again, wanted shade and some sort of covering. And so with the final design, you can see kind of the layout, the elements of the truck concept that was preferred by the community. Again, it has open interpretation to play both in an imaginary truck. It has a sliding element and a climbing element. So it seemed to satisfy a lot of those requirements. In terms of mayors, sorry, this clicker's a little slow. We did hear similar things in terms of what they're looking for. So nature inspiration was key, and they also liked modern elements as well. In terms of the current elements, mostly people like the slides, but they, again, did not dislike the wood chip surfacing that currently existed. And then they did want to seek more swinging and climbing elements as well. And again, they like to see 2 to 12-year-old playability. Here you can see the 4 concept designs that were presented to the community. One was a nature village, actually 2 types of nature villages, one more of a traditional nature-inspired playground, and then a custom sculptural owl playground. We also went to Mayor's Park to provide in-person engagement. We were lucky to have a Girl Scout troop having a bridge ceremony participate, and so we got a lot of feedback there in person. And then we did get some open-ended feedback just highlighting, sorry. Just highlighting some of those preferences, which again, the owl came up kind of highly mentioned. Again, they like to see something different and creative. And they loved kind of the uniqueness of that owl feature, which ended up winning the majority of the votes. And so here you can see different images of the owl, including an exploded axon. So you can kind of see the breakdown of kind of going into inside the sculptural structure, and then being able to go up into and around a slide feature in the back of the owl. And so these were the 2 preferred designs from the community based on the feedback we received. And so our recommendation is that the commission select a preferred design for Adams Square Mini Park and Mayor's Bicentennial, preferencing the recommendation that the community provided for the truck at Adams and then the owl at Mayor's. And so that concludes my report. And if there's any questions or discussion points.
What, the shading for Adams will be shading for this one at Mayor's also?
Yeah, so both playgrounds will have shade. Unfortunately, the renderings do not show the shade structure yet, so we're working with the designers now, and they're going to be preparing the site plans. And so the next phase, we're actually getting completed site plans, which will show the locations of those columns for the shade structure, and then the orientation of the playground elements. So we'll have a better idea. We're also trying to see, like with the owl, is there opportunities to maybe have a separate element? Is there still room at the playground for another play element as well? So there might be some opportunities there.
Will there be any lighting?
Lighting is not a component of the playground specifically of these elements. There may be for Adams. If there's extra budget, we may look at improving some of those existing lights or benches around the playground.
Okay.
Do you mind going back to the details of the custom truck? I don't think we have that information in the packet. At least I'm not finding it at the moment.
I can go back.
Take your time. Let's change it. There you go.
There it goes. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Do you mind just reading it out if you can?
Oh yeah, so it's wait, that's hard to read.
or Iris, can we get your help?
It says dashboard play panel.
So I think in the steering wheel, there's like a play panel that's there. And they did say that they'll try to integrate the bowls that are really popular in the existing playground.
And 2 is fireman's pole. 3 is climbing net. 4 is membrane bridge. And 5 is transfer platform. 6 is PE slide. 7 is climbing ladder. And 8 is wheel tunnels.
Okay, thank you. Do you mind going through the custom truck and the custom owl and maybe breaking down a little further what would be for smaller children as well as accessible to kids who have mobility challenges?
So with this, the truck playground, so there are some floor ground play elements. So I believe 2 of the truck spokes will be open. So those will be kind of like nooks that children can sit in. I believe the engine itself too is an open space. So you can kind of go inside that enclosure where the engine would sit. And then there is a platform where the driver's seat would normally be. And so I believe like that area of the front of the truck is pretty accessible for kids 2 to 5, where essentially they would have access to like an enclosure and then a landing with play features. And again, they're trying to integrate that bowl element. I think the netting, and then once you start to get to like that fireman pole level, I think that's probably more for 5 to 12-year-olds. We did try to talk to them about an alternative to the netting, perhaps using like, we were saying like stacked blocks as an easier mechanism for climbing into the back of the truck. But they did mention that that may trigger some ADA issues, so we can raise that with them if that's a preference for looking at that netting on the back. But that seemed to be the main element that we thought maybe could be maybe made more inclusive. But then otherwise, I think they were gonna try to integrate some musical elements into, I think, the back tires, because they did say they wanted to integrate more playability into the truck itself. And then we are still seeing if there's any additional space in the playground for maybe a smaller like spinning seat or something like that that could also be added to the playground.
Reaching out to my inner child, is there any way we could put some lighting within the lights, for example, like the front lights and the rear, like headlights, having some light up element would be cool.
No, I think I agree that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, or the brake lights.
Or it'd be cool if you could turn them on or off. And brake lights, that's also a good idea on the back side.
In just some of the pictures that I'm seeing, there's that other thing, a ladder-like thing off to the side. Is that part of this design, or is it just happened to be in this picture?
Oh, so that's for the other alternative, which was it's like a
different
big
truck.
rig. Yeah, it's a different truck.
Okay.
And then this one actually had like, it was a little like gas pump. And so maybe that could be something that they could also integrate into the truck design. If you see it on in the bottom right of the big truck, like 2 kids playing with the little gas pump.
Okay.
We're thinking you made like an EV charger, fake EV charger.
Are you aware of the height of this truck?
So this is a customized amenity, so we can technically determine, like we can set the height, but I haven't gotten anything that has dimensions on it yet, so I'm not quite sure the scale. But if we wanted something that's either lower or higher, like those are things that we can at least recommend, broadly, and then we can see if the designer can accommodate that. So is there like a high, do you think there's like a height limit or that you'd like?
I'm asking because comparing this with the owl, I know the owl seems relatively with a greater height, it's higher. But I'm just saying if it's to not be so high to if they fall they can injure themselves. And the owl, I emphasized this at the last commission meeting, if we could have the height be at a height where those who play, they would not, because climbing up that owl, I still see it as a safety risk. So I don't know if we can make it some way that it would not be as much of a safety risk for the kids to climb up there, just so the parents, they can be at ease when their kids are not like climbing up. So it's not too high, but not too low either. I'm not sure how the city plans to make it so it's safe for the kids, but if we can make it so it's just safe overall.
So one thing we thought to suggest was on the back end, maybe adding like a step, like a stair almost on the tail, so that at least there's like a fail-safe or an easier way to get up to the back if, say, you couldn't necessarily climb or go through the inside of the owl. So maybe at least providing an alternative, an easier alternative. To your point, again, the height, we can ask that it's just to ensure that it's not too high. We did know, again, we're going to have the safety surfacing, so at least they'll have an impact surfacing, but we did note like the owl's feet stick out on the front, and then the climber kind of goes, like if someone were to get on top of his head and then were to fall, what if they land on his feet? Could that be a risk? So there may be things we kind of ask them to maybe make a little safer. So we can maybe push some more safety. And I know our director also wanted to ensure safety as well.
I mean, as a personal injury attorney, I'll say that there's almost liability in everything we do. I mean, even a step that's, a foot in height could potentially be a liability on anybody, whether it's a city or a private entity. I think the material is what's going to really be important as far as for kids to slip off, and how slippery it is far more important than just purely the height. Because, I mean, someone could realistically fall off of a space that's 3 feet in height and, suffer a major injury, and someone could fall from a 3-story building and nothing could happen to them. So it's more or less, the liability is going to be there either way. I think the surface material and the coefficient of friction is kind of the underlying issue where people aren't constantly slipping.
President Sardarbagian, members of the commission, there are inspections that happen before they could open. So just from a safety perspective, it will definitely, all of that is taken into consideration. And then that's why we post age limits. So when it says 5 to 12, children under 5 should technically not be playing on that playground. And it's up to the parent and to make sure that their child doesn't climb on that. And if they are climbing, that the parent is with them, because kids that are under 5 probably wouldn't be able to get to the top of some of the taller playgrounds, including regular playgrounds, whether they're custom or not. So just to assure ex officio Barati is there are safety inspections that we have to go through to get certified before we could even open to the public. But those would all be taken into consideration, whether we go with a smaller version that would allow, let's say, the 2-year-olds to play on it, or if we go with the taller version, which would allow 5 and up to be able to play on it. So some of that is taken into consideration on our end too.
So I will make a motion, move the motion to recommending City Council approval of the community preferred designs, both Parks, Adams, and Bicentennial Park.
I'll second that.
Okay, now take roll call. Commissioners Alcazar,
Yes.
Kalfayan,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes?
Wolfson is absent. President Sardarbagian.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next is item 7E, request for proposals for tennis operations at Glorieta Park and Fremont Park tennis courts. At 1 is a motion to review and provide feedback on the request for proposals for the operation of tennis courts at Glorieta and Fremont Parks.
Good afternoon, President Sardabakian and members of the Commission. I am Gabrielle Golia, the Community Services Manager, and I oversee the sports section, which includes tennis courts. Okay. So the City of Glendale has 33 tennis courts in Glendale, and they are located at 10 different park locations throughout the city. So this chart, which is in your packet, shows the different locations that we have courts at, whether they have lights and whether they are run by concessionaires. And we've also included whether they have pickleball as well or not, since that is such a popular sport that's up and coming right now, or it's here. Three of our park locations have concessionaires. Shoal Canyon Golf and Tennis has a long-term contract. Shoal Canyon Tennis Courts has a long-term contract with Shoal Canyon Golf and Tennis. And then Fremont and Glorietta are also run by concessionaires. Those contracts are coming up for renewal. They were last issued in 2015. We opened that RFP 10 years ago. And they had a 5-year initial contract with 5 options for 1-year renewals. So we are at the end of that. Fremont Tennis Courts has been closed for a while for construction, obviously, but Glorietta has remained open throughout the entire time. These courts first became under the 2 courts that I'm speaking of, Fremont and Glorietta, are the ones that we are looking to do a request for proposals on in order to find new contracts with the vendors that are at those locations. We're soliciting proposals from anybody who's interested. We have an ongoing list of people who have requested to be notified when that RFP goes out, as well as anybody who bid on the last contract. So we will be notifying everybody on that. Fremont has been under contract since the early 1990s, and Glorietta has been under contract since 1996. We added Glorietta in 1996 due to a lot of complaints at that court about misuse of the court. Primarily, there would be domination by one group of players who would refuse to get off. Roller hockey and inline skaters was very popular at that time. Skateboards, which is still popular today. And then we had a lot of instructors who were benefiting financially from the use of the courts. These are continuing issues at all of our courts. That's nothing old or new at any of the courts. But at Glorietta and Fremont in particular, we have a larger number of courts. So we're able to allow someone to operate a business at those locations and monitor the activities that go on there. A certain portion of court time at these courts is dedicated to patrons who may reserve the courts. And then the vendors also allow the public to, they reserve them, but they also have classes that are offered to the public through these courts. The contractor at Glorietta has actually been in place at that location since 1996. He did bid on it last time, and he was awarded the contract again. So he's been there a long time. The Fremont vendors at this point in time technically are up at Shoal Canyon right now. They're operating Shoal Canyon as a subcontract under American Golf and Tennis since the construction began. And they were just selected back in 2015. Prior to that was a different vendor. Just to give you an idea of our courts, this is the design for the Fremont Park Tennis Courts. So you see it has 8 courts there. One of those courts is going to have pickleball lines painted on it as well. Hello. And an overhead of Glorietta Park Tennis Courts. So we do have 4 courts at Glorietta Park. Staff worked with our legal department to draft the RFP for the operations. That draft RFP is in your packets. We do plan on releasing the RFP around December 17th, which would be tomorrow, assuming that we don't have any big changes that we need to make to it. We are hoping to have that new contract in place by April 1st, which will, or May, depending on when Fremont opens. Our goal is to have this in place when Fremont opens. We do want to match both of these contracts together so that they start at the same time, and that's just for tracking purposes for staff to make sure that they are matching. So the vendor at Glorietta will remain on a month-to-month basis until this new contract is in place for Fremont and Glorietta. And it's important to note that the RFP is for one or the other operation. A vendor or a prospective vendor may bid on both, but they're bidding on them separately. We did work with the internal audit department last year to evaluate all of our tennis vendor operations, and any of the recommendations that they had at that time have been incorporated into this RFP. One of the findings was that our rates were lower than everyone around us. So that will also be provided to the vendors or the prospective vendors so that they can propose rates that are more in line with everybody else. So, sample fees, and this page is, I apologize, there we go. That's also in your packet in the RFP. So this chart is within the draft RFP for you. So just for a comparison, right now Glorietta is $4 an hour during the weekdays and $6 an hour for nights and weekends. Shoal Canyon right now is $20 an hour, and there's no prime time or non-prime time. It's just the standard rental rate. So there's a pretty big discrepancy there. Iris, could you forward that for me? Thank you. Our RFP timeline, again, we are looking to hopefully open this tomorrow. We will give people a chance to object to it or to have any feedback to it if they have any issues with the evaluation process. We will have a mandatory job walk. Our goal is to do that in January on the 14th. The last day to submit any clarification will be on January 17th. Should we have any questions that come up, we'll issue an addendum to the RFP at that point in time, giving them time to read that addendum, and then the due date for it is January 29th. We will then conduct interviews throughout the month of February, and our goal would be to award the contract in early March with a presentation to the council. We will take March to April, depending on the construction timeline at Fremont for a transition. And then the concessionaire start date, again, will line up with the Fremont opening date. Iris, do you mind forwarding that? So the selection criteria, big part of this entire process, obviously. We're looking to select a panel of professionals who are experienced in tennis concessions. We don't have that panel selected quite yet. We want to see who submits applications to make sure that we have an objective panel. Nobody has a relationship to any of the people who are applying, so that it can be a truly objective process. So once we determine that panel, they'll be sent all the proposals that meet the minimum requirements. We'll ask them to rate and review them, and then they will have a virtual interviews in order to narrow it down. After those interviews, the city will see the top 3 for each site. City staff will interview them and then make a recommendation to the director for the final selection, and then that will go to the city council for approval. So what we'll be looking for in that is a daily operational plan. We're looking for the days and hours, the staffing, the leadership. We want to see how they're going to run these courts. Advertising and marketing, how are they going to recruit people into their program? I apologize, yes, we skipped a page. The first one will be an adherence to minimum requirements, pass-fail, and adherence to format, which is a pass-fail. We're going to be looking at experience and qualifications. We want to see that they've had some experience and have the ability to be able to operate these tennis courts. We want to make sure that they are either USPTA certified or their instructors are USPTA certified, so that they are providing quality instruction. We want to see what they're going to be paying to the city, what their proposed payment is. Well, That's important. It's obviously not the most important. So having range of services is a big part of it as well. Range of services, along with that daily operational plan, outweighs the financial portion. And that's because we want to see that they can meet the needs of our community. We want to see what hours they'll be open. Will they have free time to the community? Will they have what their fees will be that they're proposing along with the money that they're paying? So once published, people will be able to access this online. We will have it published on the Parks webpage. We'll also have a hard copy at City Hall that's available for anybody to come by and pick up and review there. That is the end of my prepared presentation. I'd be more than happy to take any questions that you have or any comments.
I can start. Thank you for your presentation. And I appreciate that you're bringing the RFP to us so we can take a look at it. I wanted to ask if there was a section on, or I guess maybe I'm just not familiar with Glendale's process for RFPs or procurement. Is there anything for minority-owned businesses or women-owned businesses as you know, to provide them equal opportunity to apply for this?
President Sartabegi and members of the commission, there is not anything specific to a minority-owned business versus a non-minority-owned business. We are looking more at the services that will be provided to the community as a whole. Certainly someone who understands this community may have a leg up just because they're so familiar with the community here, but we're not advertising to any particular demographic.
Got it. Okay. Does the city not have that requirement? No? Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. And then my second question was, you mentioned, you know, the audit's findings that the fees that we were charging were substantially lower than surrounding tennis courts. Was there anything else from that audit that was interesting about, you know, the existing operators, or even from, you know, comments that we've received from the public?
Absolutely. A few of the things that they wanted us to evaluate were the payment process, whether they were paying a percentage of net profits or gross receipts or a flat monthly rent, and they wanted us to evaluate what was most cost effective for the city to be able to audit it ourselves and make sure that they're paying us a fair amount each month. So we did address that as part of this RFP process, and we changed it a little bit from what the previous contract was, so that we are going to be asking them to pay a flat monthly rent in addition to a percentage of their gross receipts. And that way we don't have to audit their expenses also. It's just the money that they're going to be bringing in. And they may say, I don't want to pay any of my gross receipts. It's just going to be a flat monthly rent. So, you know, it's up to them to tell us what they're going to pay us. Okay. That was the big one.
If I may, I think it was also the, I'm not sure that it was an audit finding per se, but being able to use some sort of a reservation system versus like a manual or a phone call to reserve a court. So that's the other thing I think we changed as part of the current RFP, is to require that whoever is chosen either includes in their proposal what type of system they'll be using, or ends up using the one that the city will offer.
Yes, and we will make that an offer to them if they don't have a program of their own. Part of their proposal can be that they'll use the city's program.
All right, thank you.
No.
We get a motion to...
Oh, to take the RFP? This is taking the RFP to this council? No?
It's to review and to provide feedback.
Okay. I can move that we take this to review and feedback for the motion on trying to get the RFP released and get people back to us. Hopefully a number of people.
If
If I may, President Sardarbakian, we didn't really hear anything specific as far as changes or things to consider. So essentially, would your motion just be that the way that it is
The RFP
presented
is-
is, the commission's okay with that and to proceed?
Yeah.
Okay, I will second.
Okay, Commissioners Alcazar,
Yes.
Kafayan,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes?
Wilson is absent. President Sardarbagian.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 8, reports information only. At 8A is Emerald Isle Playground Replacement Project Update.
Good afternoon again, President Sardarbajian, Commissioners. I'm here to present on item 8A, report Emerald Isle Playground Replacement Project Update. So now I was here a couple months ago and presented an update of where we were, but we did want to provide this latest update. So the project again is to replace the aging playground at Emerald Isle Park, including ADA improvements and shade structure. The project budget was $866,987,000, including $177,000 in Prop 68 funds. The construction started in May 28th, 2024, and then opened in November, on November 22nd, I believe. And so we just want to kind of show pictures of us going through that process. Again, the park is located in the San Rafael Hills. Starting in June, we were pulling out the old playground. Something that we discovered was there was a storm drain issue or drainage issue at the site. And so we did have to devise essentially a French drain system that pulled the water away from the playground. And then we actually have a sump and a pump that pulls that water and takes into the V-ditch that goes around the perimeter. In July, we also uncovered an issue with the perimeter walls. So this was a change order to include kind of the repair of those walls. And then you can see at the end of July, we also had the footings in of all the playground structures. Going to the next month, we did start going and doing some of the ADA repairs. And so here you can see the work along the pathway, the concrete truck, mixer truck on the bottom, also for pouring the footings for the shade structures. And then we also had ADA improvements in the parking lot, which, there. So then the parking lot improvements also included redoing the ADA parking stall, ensuring that it met ADA requirements, and then the pouring of the PIP surfacing. And so on the bottom right, you can see the photo of the safety inspection. So that's the drop test that's performed on the safety surface. So they drop it from the surface of the platforms and then see what that impact is on the flooring. And so there's certain thresholds that we have to meet for it to pass. And so now here you can see pictures of the completed playground. There is 2 different playground age levels usability. So there's a 5 to 12 playground on the left, and the bottom right shows the 2 to 5 playground. This playground also includes musical instruments.
Is that the mushrooms?
Yeah, those mushrooms. And then you can see some of the other nature-inspired play and climbing elements. We would note that underneath all the swings and play slides, we do have the high-impact rubber surfacing, so that's 100% the high-impact surfacing. So you can kind of note those highlights. Noting on the right, we did also install the Prop 68 funder sign adjacent to the playground. And here you can kind of see some of the other nature-inspired elements as well. And then we did just want to show this drone footage that GTV helped us capture of the finished playground. So you kind of see from a distance what it looks like, and as we kind of zoom in to the full build out. And I would mention too, so we did improve the area around the playground. So we are resodding the front half, and then the back end will be kind of mulched. And we did also install some concrete benches or tables in the back corners as well, so people can view and enjoy as their kids play in the playground. And this was the day it opened, and as soon as the fence was put down, you see it was just swarmed by children who wanted to play. So it's very actively used already, and it seems to be a beloved playground already. So that concludes the presentation. And if there's any questions about the playground, we're here. Go back to
I noticed around the playground there was those newly planted trees. Can we make sure that those get watered? Because for them to develop roots and for it to grow, we need obviously to be watered. And based on the pictures I saw, I wasn't sure if there was a irrigation system. So can we make sure that those get watered?
President Sarabegi and members of commission, yes, those are getting watered. The ones at the southern end of the playground are in a turf area, which gets broadcast water from rotary sprinkler heads. And then in the north end where it's a mulch area, because we don't want to add too much water because of the water runoff issues, each one of the trees that were planted has its own what's called a bubbler head. So all those trees, not only do they have the basins which will collect water from the irrigation, some of them have individual sprinkler heads for them. So yes, those in addition to the groundwater, which there's plenty of up there, they will get irrigation.
And the trees were actually a part of mitigation for the sports complex. So there's that solar array project in the parking lot. And so 10 trees were planted here as part of mitigating for the trees that were removed at sports complex.
You mentioned swings. I didn't see them.
So they're back there in the back right corner. So no one's using them in this picture, but there's, I think, 6 or 3 bays of 2 each, so 6 total, or maybe,
Okay.
yeah, 6 total slides.
Thank you.
For swings.
I think this came out great. I was personally thanked by someone as if I'm the one that designed it, but I have a friend that their family lives up there, so they actually reached out saying that it turned out really awesome and they were very happy about the outcome.
Thank you. Yes, we were getting tons of calls to open it up. Everyone was very anxious to get inside and play. And luckily we got them right in, I think this was Thanksgiving break. And so that week everyone was waiting. And yeah, this again, I mentioned this was the first day it opened and it was already like 30 people there.
Do we have a project to do the Brand Park? Put shades, just like that. We
That's
don't
on the
have.
current CIP list, but maybe, I think it'll be in future.
It's in the future CIP list to do Brand. Right now, we're going to be concentrating on Adams, Mayors, and I believe south end of Verdugo. So we'll put Brand on the list for this coming year for a future project. I do like to add that this was supposed to be a regular playground renovation project, but since we noticed the water runoff, the project was took a little longer, about 3-4 months longer. So due to the runoff, it was an unexpected issue that we encountered, and something like that, we would require a change order, and we would submit a change order for the contractor to come in and fix the issue. Instead of submitting a change order, we wanted to save money because it was going to cost quite a bit. Chris and his team were nice enough to volunteer. Well, they worked, they got paid for it, but they volunteered to take on this project. And I want to thank Chris and also our friends over at Public Works, because I know the sewer team worked with Chris and rerouted the water coming in to the sewer. So Chris, thank you, and the team. It saved us a lot of money, and it saved us in submitting a change order to get the project completed. So, and Joe, job well done. The Emerald Isle community, the association there, the Chevy Chase Canyon Association, is very happy that the project has been completed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick shout out to California State Parks as well, because we did have Prop 68 per capita grant funds that went towards this project. So without their help, we wouldn't be able to leverage the rest of the funds. So just wanted to also put that out there. So thank you.
Yeah, 177,000 was funded through Parks, the Prop 68 per capita grant. So thank you to State Parks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item?
Next item is 8B. However, for 8B through D, we did submit written reports, and staff is available to answer any questions, but there aren't any presentations planned.
No questions.
Okay, so then next would be adjournment.
I move to adjourn today's meeting, and I wish everyone a very, very happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and everything else in between.
Thank you. We're adjourned at 4:18 p.m.